This is a Ben Frank Connection presentation.
What is going on, everybody? We are back for another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 111. We are zooming through these. Thank you, everyone, for the continued support. Make sure you check the links below for not just things for ABJ, whether it be merch or ways to subscribe to the membership side of the podcast to help out a little bit on the end, but for my guest links and everything that they have going on. It's all below in the links. Also, if you need logos done, I have all my people below, intro music, outro music. That's all linked below as well. Check out the Opinion City podcast as well as our collaboration project of the Ben Frank Connection. Once again, two of us are in Pennsylvania. One of them is in Jersey. We don't judge them, but the thing that brings us together is the Ben Franklin Bridge, and that's where we got the idea from. So they do a lot of great content. So go check them out. We're two podcasting teams who are coming together to work for a common goal of uplifting the independent wrestling community. And what a better way to do that is getting these two teams and getting together. Imagine that, two content creators working together for a better cause to help other people. That's what this should be all about. If you want to join the Ben Frank Connection, hit us up. The biggest thing is just that you got to have that love for the independent game. When you show up at shows, you got to make it about them and not about you. And I think that's a huge disconnect that's happening right now in the content world is everyone's going there and making it about them. But the overall goal is to uplift the scene. Very punk rock of us, huh? But all right, that's enough of that. Make sure, like I said, the links below for all support. If this is your first time here and you're listening to the audio side, make sure you hit a 5-star review for us on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you're listening to. Helps out more than you know. As well as if you're on the YouTube side, hit that subscribe button. We're grinding away here. As of the day of this recording, it is pull the curtain back a little bit here. January 22nd. We are we're just on the cusp of 500 watch hours for the channel. So by the time this airs, hopefully we hit that monetization goal, which would be cool. And we're around like 890 subscribers. So we're getting so close to 1K. But like I said, hopefully by the time you guys hear this, this is like a timestamp. Like, look how much he's grown since that day. Exciting. But let's get into our interview. I'm very pumped for this one. I threw out my wish list for 2024, and there's people who I was like, listen, I'm going to put some big names. I'm going to put some names I don't think I can get, some names I think I can get, and then see what happens. And then a name that was on the list, but I didn't want to fill it with everyone who I don't think I'm going to get, hits me up and like, let's do it. And here we are. You're already seen it in the thumbnail. It's going to get real spooky, ladies and gentlemen. Here's my guest for today, Frightmare.
Yo.
What is going on? Yeah, you have no idea how I didn't even know you were following me, to be completely honest. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah, I fell in love with all you guys at Camp Leapfrog. That's a trend that happened for me. That was like the birth of my independent wrestling career journey of content and just helping out behind the scenes during the pandemic and being at that place and meeting so many good people and essentially a family. I was kind of introduced to a family of people who all came from a previous place that was kind of displaced and looking for a new home, and kind of found it within Camp Leapfrog. And meeting all of you was a beautiful experience. And I know the pandemic was really shitty and a tough time for everybody, but there was a lot of positive, I think, that happened too. It's like always that double-edged sword. And for me, the pandemic was a cool way to get a good introduction into this business and put myself around really, really talented people. And I think it made me better along the way because iron sharpens iron, you know?
100%, man.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it was something good came out of that. Camp Leapfrog was definitely one of them, man.
Yeah, I totally agree. So as we just jump into this, when's your earliest memory or fondest that you can think back of when you fell in love with the industry of professional wrestling?
So I always enjoyed it as a kid, like I guess all of us have, and started from the toys and having the old wrestling action figures in the ring and kind of putting together matches on your own and stuff like that. But
what was your first ring?
It was a WCW ring.
Okay, so I think I had a friend who had that, and if I'm not mistaken, the old WCW rings weren't the right scale, if I'm not mistaken. They was kind of, they were like, at first they were really shitty. I was the ring you didn't want.
Yeah, the ropes are too always falling apart. But you made things work, especially as a kid with the imagination and all that kind of good stuff. But and then what really got me into it and wanted to kind of pursue my dream was definitely Dragon Kid and Amazing Red was a huge influence of why I wanted to become a professional wrestler myself. And that got me, like, once I figured I can actually kind of do this crazy thing and then, watching them growing up was just awesome. And I was like, they're small, I'm small, they can move around. It was the style of wrestling that I fell in love with. And I just took off from there, bud.
Yeah. Now, have you ever a chance to work with Amazing Red or anything in that nature?
Yes. Yeah. It was King of Trios 2000, I want to say 10. We got to do a four-way match where actually it was me versus O'Barian versus 1-2-3 Kid versus Amazing Red.
That's insane.
Which is fucking crazy. Even think about it too, how excited I was because O'Barian's been a boy of mine, always a good friend, and then to have those two other legends on the other side. But I was more excited working with Brad because I was like,
inspired.
That's what I always wanted to do. So I was so happy that it came in fruition like that. And it was just awesome. It was such a cool experience. Fun match too. I think it's up on YouTube somewhere. It's a good one.
So I've been kind of going back since Camp Blue Frog. And I just started back up because funds are getting better for me. But I just resubscribed to IWTV, and I've been going back and trying to rewatch from the beginning or as early as you can on IWTV, the old Chikara stuff. So I'm slowly catching up as I go, and it's fun to see. Because I guess I feel like I came in at the end generation, but now kind of going back and seeing it grow from the start has been a joy. It's just been fun to watch. I'm having a good time with it. But the one that really set it off for me is we were looking for an episode way back in the day on Tornado Tag of we want to review an old independent show, and we picked I'm gonna forget. You guys have wacky names for everything. But it was the one that was in Goodfellas in Pottsville. It was a tiny bar that's like 20 minutes from my house, and you look at the card and it was just unbelievable. Like everyone who's on TV now is essentially on this card. It's like, man, that's why you support independent wrestling, because you never know where it's gonna go, and it's crazy. But at what stage did you come into the fold with Chikara, and how did you find that school, and how did it land for you?
So basically it was 2005 I started training at the school that was based in Philadelphia, and that was at the ECW arena. And what a cool place to start my career is in that iconic building itself. And yeah, I was 15 years old at the time when I started, and I was the trainers I had were just unbelievable. Starting from Quackenbush, Chris Hero, Claudio, Sarah Del Rey, Eddie Kingston, and Hollowicked. Like I got so blessed to be able to go into wrestling with those people. And don't even forget about the people that I was training with, which was Orange Cassidy, Lindsay Dorado. Like I couldn't have came in at a better time to that school. And yeah, I just kind of hit the road, and as quickly as possible, I tried to pick it up, but I could not wrestle in Pennsylvania until I was 18. So I had, and it was a good thing. It was a blessing in disguise because I was picking it up pretty quickly, but getting those first 3 years of experience before I actually debuted and came out and did my own thing was awesome. I couldn't have, I was eager to get out there. Don't get me wrong, because I just wanted to do it and I wanted to perform and do all that good stuff. But those 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years was perfect learning curve where I got to really learn everything.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened there. I think my touchpad just turned on my computer. My bad. I'm sorry. What you were saying there?
No, it was just a great time, and I'm glad that I had those 2.5 to 3 years to really study wrestling and train to get it right. So I'm not going out there botching shit almost immediately when I'm debuting and stuff. I was able to. Obviously, those things are going to happen regardless, any point in your career. But like, I was happy to get all those years of experience before I hopped out there and did my own thing.
It's so crazy to now in retrospect in 2024 we're talking about the people who trained you and the people who were around you at that time, and to see where they are now in AEW and all over the world. And it's just like to think back in 2005, like you're meeting them at that not infancy stages, but like close to like their hungriest phase, where they're like, no, this is like 2005. You're thinking maybe another 5 or 6 years after that is when that started breaking for a lot of them, or things started picking up. But it just shows you there too, the people listening and the people training, or if any industry you're in, whether it be music, art, you started when you were 14 in 2005 with these names, and it's now 2024, and now they're at the peak of what they're probably going to be. Or what they can be right now with AEW going to Wembley and all these cool places. It takes time in your craft, and it's going to be mentally draining and physically draining. But if you stick with the course and just keep working hard, man, things can happen.
Anything can happen, man. And that's the beauty about this. And yeah, you said it perfectly yourself. You look back from 2005 and to now, and it's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty crazy, but all of them deserve the world and more, man. Because
that's why I love like everyone's like, oh, you're very biased of AEW over WB. I said I love all professional wrestling, but AEW is essentially like it's Chikara. It's the Northeast wrestling scene that's come to life on our television screen, and all of those creative minds. And even though I've never really met a lot of them, or if I did, it was in passing, but I met the people that they've inspired and the people that they've trained and helped get to that next step. And that's who I became friends with. And I honor them because of who they made my friends into. And it's just you're rooting for them. Like when I was in London, man, it was really emotional to be like, dude, Kingston and Claudio and Orange are in Wembley Stadium where Freddie Mercury did Live Aid, and every band in the world wants to play in that stadium. And it's at the time we thought the largest wrestling show of all time. But of course, maybe there was some numbers skewed, professional wrestling. But regardless, if numbers were skewed, that place was packed. And the vibe in London to have an American wrestling company come over, and these are people who wrestled in bingo halls and firehouses and dive bars for 10-15 years, and here they are in Wembley Stadium. It's awesome, man.
If I could cry, I would.
I almost did when Kingston came back out during the Stadium Stampede, and the whole time, because like in my head I'm like, all right, I kind of have an idea how they're going to structure this, and I'm like, so Kingston went in the back and they're up in the balcony and they're fighting, and then he doesn't come out right away, and everyone's in the ring, and the BCC's beating down Best Friends, and I'm like, all right, Kingston's gonna hit that curtain, and when he does, this place is gonna go crazy. And Kingston comes walking out, and the place erupts, and I was just like, I'm not crying. Like I was like,
the energy and that was awesome, man. And that was so unreal to watch, and just the fact that, and like you said too with wrestling, like you love wrestling for wrestling, at all aspects, but. And, I'd be biased too with AEW. I mean, because I have some of the closest friends that I've ever had, and I'm just rooting for all of them. And I have buddies that are in WWE as well, and I just root for the best of the best. And it's so well deserved. And watching Wembley was definitely one of those moments.
Yeah. And the competition right now is helping each other get better. Like WWE stepped it up when AEW hit the scene. Whether you want to like one and hate the other, that's good. Like you can turn on wrestling right now, any day of the week, and there's something on TV, on national television, Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday. There's something on. Like it's the awesome. Best time in the world to be a fan.
It is, and I wish more fans took like your attitude about it and just enjoyed pro wrestling. You don't have to pick sides. It's not a big deal. They bring out the best of one of each other, and I mean, it's an awesome time to be.
Sure. So you're going through training and you're figuring things out, and you're training with these now legends of the business. But Did you know, or did you like? I know with Chikara, you're kind of given your gimmick, you're given your name, you're given your direction, or sometimes you're just given a name and a little bit of direction, and then you can do it on your own. But did you know at what point in your training? Because obviously you had a lot longer before you were able to wrestle in front of crowds and do stuff. Did you know what you were going to be, who you were going to work with, or how that was going to go about?
Yeah, I'd say probably a year into it. Mike Quackenbush and I spoke about what we were going to go into and ideas. And like you said, sometimes in Jakar, you're given a crazy gimmick and you just got to work with it. I was channeling my, kind of delirious Hollow Wickedness into it because I know I wanted to start with my boys. And it just worked out. We came up with the gimmick, and I couldn't have been, put in a better position is stepping in the ring with those guys starting out my career. Extremely blessed in that aspect of it all. And but I knew probably a year into training what was going down.
Now that team, did you become close to them during training? Did you guys come in together? When did you become really close with them that you're like, all right, yeah, you're going to join the fold. You're going to be part of our squad. This is the route we're going.
Yeah, it would basically be like, my training was Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights. Wednesday was always for beginners. Luckily, Mike, within the first month told me to start coming to Tuesdays, which is advanced, which was awesome. And that's where I met Hollow Wicked and all that. And we just started rolling, man. And, I was just a big fan of his, from the get-go, just being a fan of any kind of independent scene at that time. And the fact that I can, he's my brother now, you know what I mean? And I, coming in with him is just because he's one of the most underrated professional wrestlers, I think, in the fucking world. So like going in with him was just awesome, man. I can't say enough good things about that person,
Yeah. I felt bad for him in that show reviewed because I believe it was him and I think it was Mantis versus Sarah Del Rey and what the hell? What was her name? It was the two girls wrestled them and they beat the shit out of Hollow Wicked. Like bad. The whole time watching, I'm like, oh my god! Like I felt horrible for him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he got killed.
They're tough, man.
Yeah, they beat the dog shit, and he took all of it. I was like, wow. There's sometimes the bombs he took. I was like, it was a rough one. It was really crazy.
Yeah.
He is so talented, so good. Now character development is one of the things that obviously Jakar is known for, and sometimes you're good at it and sometimes you're not, and sometimes you're really like talking about people who are insanely underrated. Avery, that guy was given some of the craziest shit and was able to make it work. How, like, once again, iron sharpens iron. Who did you lean on heavily for how you're going to take your character, or the character development side of things, of like playing with a mask on, because you can't emote to people, you can't facial expressions, because that's a big thing in professional wrestling. So how was it now going through training, then donning a mask, and then trying to learn that and learning that character side development?
I would watch a lot of El Generico, which I think is one of the best to ever do it, selling in a mask and character-wise, him being a generic luchador. Mm-hmm. But if you watch the way he sells in that mask, you can almost see his facial expressions. But you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. With the way he does it. So I watched a lot of his tape to kind of get that reaction out, because selling in a mask is a very difficult thing. And then, of course, just being able to watch Delirious and Hollow Wicked and learning from them, and with my character, it all stemmed from that, man. Those were the people that I kind of leaned on, but everyone that I was coming into with my class, Hot Sauce was in my class, and Drew Gulak, and like these are all people that I'm working with every single week. So there's always just someone right next to me that I can ask a question, and I take their advice full throttle just because of how amazing they are at their craft.
What was some of the best advice you've got throughout your time at Chikara that really stuck with you and helped you throughout your journey then in professional wrestling?
Just don't ever try to do too much. You know, I was super young, flipping all over the place, and I think the best advice I got was I learned very early on how to tell a story and not just do backflips off crazy shit. And as cool as that looks, I really love professional wrestling as the story that's involved, and then you sprinkle a little of that cool, crazy shit in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my advice that I got from a lot of people, because they looked out for me like I was one of the youngest fucking people in there, so they looked at me quite a bit, and they'd always just tell me like, and how quickly and how eager I was to get out there and do my thing. Just don't do too much. You know, you can have a great match without killing yourself and doing all this other crazy stuff. But then, yeah, like you said, sprinkle a little bit in there, but make it.
Yeah, absolutely. Make it mean something, and then when you do turn it up to 11, it means something more now. Like it just jumps even higher through. Like Cassidy, it's the best example. Like you watch him today, it's very Cassidy. Like he's playing a character, but then when he turns it up and the hands are out of the pocket, it's game time. Yeah, it's fun to watch. I love it. It's so good.
And having guys like that is just, you know, truly amazing thing to do, man. It's awesome.
I was so confused first being like backstage at a wrestling show, and I'd see like Sonny Defarge or someone pull somebody aside and like, yo, just slow down. And I'm like, why are you telling us to slow down? Like action pack, you want to go in there. And the more I started like learning the other stuff, because I never trained, I never did any of that. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like that's 1 second where you take a beat and you kind of just like let the crowd feed you something instead of going right to it is a game changer. Like literally a 5-second stop in a match and just let it breathe and let the fans react is such a world change in the tempo of a match of then hitting the ropes and doing a tope suicida. Like, you know what I mean? It's
huge, man. It completes the whole story aspect of it all, man. Like it's such a huge moment. And then you can really kind of feel yourself in that moment too. Like you said, like you take that little 5-second little breath just to really, all right, here we go. And then, you know, you got to call the next spot too.
Yeah.
you take that moment. It's a blessing in disguise as well, man. So
when you know you're going to start wearing a mask, do you start then training in it so you can prepare to like your breathing and how it's going to affect anything like in that aspect?
I did, but you know, 16, 17 years later, it still sucks.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I have a whole new appreciation for masked wrestlers after like just I don't know, just realizing what people do without a mask and how you just limit your vision and restrict your breathing and then go do crazier stuff, because usually when you're a mask, you're more of a higher flyer. It's just like that's blows my mind. Like,
dude,
and then I see guys like Penta. I'm like, that's smart. Like, oh, we're gonna cut the mouth out. We're gonna mesh the eyes, but they're gonna make them bigger so I can see full peripheral vision. I'm like, that's a veteran mask guy right there.
2024 Frightmare is definitely gonna have to get those ideas from Penta, because I mean it's so smart. Just be able to breathe the aspect of it all too. When you're getting it, doing this, you're flipping around, like you're gonna need that cardio, man.
How hard has it been throughout your career? And especially you start training, you're 14, you're with who you're with, you're doing what you're doing, you're getting that popularity. How hard is it to not be like, this is who I really like, to keep that that mystique of not revealing yourself or kind of staying under the mask? Like it's almost an Undertaker feel. Like everyone's like, oh, I hate the fact that Taker's charging $1,000 for a meet and greet. I'm like, yeah, but that dude went 30, 40 years without doing anything with fans. So now is his time to undon and do that. That guy deserves every dime that he didn't get for 30 years because he kept himself mysterious. Like, how is it to keep your mental checked in that of like, I kind of want to be a wrestler. I want that superstar. I want that allure, but I kind of have to stay in the back because I'm building this character up.
I love the whole, you know, aspect of it all of just being kind of like hidden and spontaneous, of like they don't know what I look like, and I like it that way. And it's cool too, because you know I can arrive at a show and not have my mask on and no one knows who the hell I am.
That happens to me so much. I'm like, who is this new person? And then I'm like, oh, got it.
There was this one time though, early in my career, I was working for a company called NWS, I believe, and it was based out of like central New Jersey, and they were filming something for the Discovery Channel. like a wrestling documentary. And we had to sign all these things of just, hey, they're going to be recording backstage, this, that, and the other thing. And the only thing I told the producer was like, hey, being that I wear a mask, just please don't film me without anything. And of course, these motherfuckers, they got me in full gear without that for a quick second. Like it might have been like a 2-second clip. And someone found a way to kind of frame it up like, oh, we got him. We got Frightmare without the mask. We got him.
Man, that sucks.
But it's one of those things that most people and a lot of my fans had my back was like, shut the fuck up.
What it reminds me of too is Ghost. Before the band Ghost went through everything they went through, they would walk past the line of people waiting to get in their show, and smart fans knew it was them, but they played kayfabe a little bit with a band. They're like thumbs up and them because they understood that their mask was more than just the character on stage or in the ring. It also means your privacy, and you're kind of respect that. And I think that's a cool little nod to the character. I think that shows more as a fan if you're like, I know, but I'm not gonna bother you.
And most fans are like that. Most fans are amazing, and they will do that. And but I mean, listen, I love interacting with fans and hanging out with them, and when I'm being a heel, being a dick to them, and a good, you know what I mean? And I mean, without them, we wouldn't have any shows to perform in front of. So you got to understand,
totally.
I do anything for them, man. So
now, making your debut match, walk us through it, the nerves, the excitement, who was it and how did it go?
So my debut match was actually with the late great Brody Lee. And it wasn't supposed to be. Hollow Wicked was doing a segment early on in the show and got a bad concussion. And he was supposed to go one-on-one with Brody Lee that night. And I came to the back, noticed that my boy was not doing too good, and stepped up and got kicked in the face a couple times by the wonderful Brody.
Yeah, I love his character. Just like he hits the character, you're like, oh, you're dead. That's just how this is going down. You're gonna die tonight. Brody's gonna kill you.
Yeah, but that was my first. I came out in Chikara to reveal my character, like as a quick segment. But that was my first match in Chikara was against him, and it couldn't have gone. It was a quick one. Got something quick in, and then got kicked in the face, and it was awesome. And then it started a whole feud all year with him, which was amazing. That how great of a person he is, and I miss him so much because he was just incredible.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories of him, two actually, is when in WWE when they weren't using him properly, and because he's such a good human being, like the locker room started making like justice for Luke Harper shirts, because at the time he was Luke Harper.
Yeah,
and like Jericho's wearing them, like the whole back is wearing these shirts, being like, Vince, give this guy some love, like. And then he got his IC title run, which I got to see in a dark match in Wilkes-Barre, which fucking made my day because I loved him so much. And then when late after he passed away, they were doing Renee was doing a podcast with oh my god, what's his name? Like he has his own content too, but they were doing a podcast together, and they're like, she's like, how did you get into this? He's like, I wanted to be a podcaster, I wanted to be a journalist. And he goes, my best friend at the time was Brody. Like we had a group chat of me, Brody, Big E, and all these people. And he goes, I told him I wanted to start doing this and stuff like that. And Brody did the research, found out what podcast equipment was good, all the whole nine, and then just sent this dude a package at his front door. And like that was his starter kit to start chasing his dream. Like Brody just did that for a guy just because he cared about him.
I mean, that guy, I can never say enough good things about him, man. And he helped me out so much when I was beginning, because a lot of my feud was against him, and it was big man, little man. And he was just incredible, man. He was incredible.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, and he was a Washington fan, so which is always a bonus for me.
But so I was saying the first actual match I had was probably a couple weeks before that. So that was my first ever Chikara appearance. Mm-hmm. But it was another company out of Central Jersey. I think it was the same one with the Discovery Channel one, the NWS thing, and it was me versus Joey Janela versus Ophidian versus Lindsay. And it was a scramble match. And Ophidian is the one that got the booking. And, it was like, oh, this kid worked before? And he's like, yeah, he's worked multiple matches.
Yeah.
So we just basically lied to the guy. And then, we just came out and did a bunch of crazy shit. The match probably was, just a bunch of flippity-doo-dahs and all that kind of stuff. But that was the first initial going into it, and then 2 weeks later,
I would be so interested. And what year was that? You said probably like what, 2005, 2006,
November 21st, 2008.
2008. I would be really interested to see a 2008 Joey Janela in the match with those three names. Like that sounds insane.
I worked with Joey so much those first 2 years, because that company, that NWS company, because Joey's from Jersey, right over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on every little fucking show with him, man. We've done so much stuff. I actually want to kind of I wish there was a way to get some of that footage back. We used to do ladder matches together, all this crazy shit.
Yeah. Now, even when you weren't in Chicago, were you still Frightmare when you were working these other promotions?
Yeah, always. I never changed.
So you never had like another character you would do on the side where you weren't Frightmare? Interesting.
Nope.
That's interesting. Because even Lindsay said there's some matches where I was a different person. And I was like, really? I was like, yeah. He goes, I used to work without a mask. People just don't know. I was like, I'd love that. That's so much fun.
Jose, yeah. Lindsay did that quite a bit.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
especially with Chikara too. We had some other idea, or people did some other gimmicks too that no one knows who they were, but they're the same people, and that was the beauty of it too.
One of the early ones too. If you know, like Ricochet was part of the roster for a little. You know what I mean? Like he was in there killing it under a different name and a mask. He was under a mask before he was Puma, and he wasn't Prince Puma. It's so fun to go back and look at that, because there's a whole Wikipedia of Chikara and the masks and who was who and stuff like that. It's that's so fun that people are so into a product like that. And once again, what's that?
Who makes those Wikipedias?
I have no idea, but they have a lot of time on their hands.
They have a lot of creepy shit on there too.
Oh, really?
They knew one of my exact addresses.
They put your address on there too?
It wasn't. I made sure to follow up with that and get that taken off, but they had a shoot.
Why would they put your address?
I don't know, man.
That's fucked up.
I was curious too, but I made sure that was taken down. But they had the shoot name up there, the whole nine. I was like, who the fuck makes these things?
Yeah, way too much time on their it sucks and it's creepy, but it's also it's the fact that you're so have we said before, you're a lore, you're mysterious.
Yeah.
And there's that itch that people want to know when they figure it out. They're like, I get it. But it's just it means you're good at something that people care enough about that they're trying to find this information out. It's wild. But your address, that's a little much.
Take it down pretty quickly after that, because I was just like, nah, it's a little too much, man. But it was cool, other than that, the Wikipedia is cool. Having all going back to your first matches, some of the achievements you made, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's dope.
What are some of your favorite matches that you've had in your career, and or storylines or anything like that within the universe of Frightmare?
Oof. Let's see. I mean, there's a good chunk of them too, especially early Chikara days. I was so blessed to get in the ring with some of these people. One of my first King of Trios, I was in there with Johnny Saint. It's just crazy the opportunities that I got through that. But I always loved working with Kingston and Brody. Any match I had with Orange Cassidy, because me and him always been the best of boys. And I think he's one of the most talented people out there.
It's disgusting how talented he is.
But those matches for sure, just all and the beauty thing about Chikara too, all those multi-man matches that you're put in with all this crazy talent, like the Cyberneticos, and even though they were a motherfucker to put together, they always came out and I mean, they were great, man. I've been so blessed to work with the talent that I've had, and I don't know if I could pick like a one that stands out to me was me, Delirious, and Hollow Wicked versus Kingston and the Roughnecks, which is Brody and Grizzly Redwood. That was the first year into my career, and it was just a great trios match. It was the ending of the feud and told a great story, and it was the one where I finally got the win up on Brody, so it was a special moment.
Yeah. Now, when you're working, or you're looking at the card, or you're looking at who you're going to be working with, or storyline wise, do you have a preference? Do you enjoy working the bigger man because you're lucha style and they're more of a bigger base, or do you prefer working other high flyers or more technical wrestlers?
A little bit of both. The beauty thing about Jakar is everyone was pretty damn good base because we would practice it so much. So you're looking at a guy that, like even for Lindsay, even though he's bulky, he's not tall, and me and him could do so much cool shit together. And he was a wonderful base. Claudio was the best base ever.
Yeah, he's the strongest human being of all time.
Anything looked better just because of who he is. And but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of like a little bit of both, man. Like you said, like the big man matches and stuff like that are fun because my character was always that, like, didn't care how small I was. I'm not going to back down from a fight. And you love that underdog story, coming from Philadelphia, all that kind of stuff. You love that kind of thing. And that's what I got with Brody and people like Claudio and all that kind of stuff that could literally throw me through a goddamn roof. But working with those guys was always the best. And if I could say one more person that I absolutely loved working with and had great time with was Johnny Gargano. He was one of my all-time favorites. I mean, him still kind of talk about like, we got to run this back somehow, some way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because he always, a compliment that he gave me was, he's like, I'm like Eddie Guerrero, you're the Rey Mysterio. Like, those are the matches we kind of put on, and it was always cool because and boy, can that fucking guy work. He's so good.
I was really fortunate to hang out with him. One of the companies I was working with brought him in for an Icons event, and I was in they brought us in, and they had Johnny and Candice, and then they had another group of people, and it was me, Tasha Steele, Facade, and Danny Moe. And then after it was all over, we're all kind of in the main room where the bar area is, and I just like sitting at a table, and it's all of us hanging out, and then it's Johnny and Candice and Wardlow, and I was like, what am I doing here? And like at that time,
life.
And then Johnny was just like, they were talking, and Johnny kind of like said, like, yeah, I'm pretty much signed. I'm just waiting for the call to go back. And I was like, he's going back. But I didn't want to say anything or act like a mark or anything. But and then I was like, well, he's going back, I hope. And it was still like the Vince era. And I was like, I'm kind of bummed, but I'm kind of excited because I want him to go to AEW, a little part of me.
Yeah.
and then when everything kind of like now, Triple H is in charge, and him and Tommaso are like, they should be your tag team champions, and then just break them up and run that whole like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano could be friends, enemies, friends, enemies, friends, enemies, and you could repeat that forever for the next 10 years, and I'll watch every second of it.
Yeah. Not gonna get boring at all. Those guys
never. You could do shot for shot, like we'll get into horror movies, but you could do a shot for shot remake of Psycho with those two, and I'll watch the movie every time.
Yeah. He's awesome. He's the man.
Going through your first mask, and how much has the mask changed since the start? Have you ever had any input of anything with the mask as it goes? And what's your favorite version of your mask?
I always had
a lot at you there. I'm sorry.
Right. I always had input of what it was going to look like and kind of the style that I could be. And then I just kind of added stuff throughout the years. But we did it like the Mexico Day of the Dead kind of style. I made one of my white masks like that with those design and the flowers and the skulls and stuff like that. And I thought that mask sucked with breathing out of, but it was one of my all-time favorites, and I thought it looked the dopest out of all of them. But
I still have all your masks.
What's up?
Do you still have all your masks?
Not all of them. No. I've given some to some fans that wanted to buy them as a collectible and hang up.
That's sick. Now, you said you make, so you add to, so you learn how to make design and make your own masks as well?
Absolutely not.
No,
Was,
I was gonna say that's a skill.
I'm throwing the idea out, and then I had so many talented people around me making it, and I was like, oh yeah, that looks fucking awesome. One of those things. But no, I can't. So I can't do any of that.
Yeah, when I bought the mask off Lindsay, I was like, he's like, well, it's my good mask, but it's not one of my premium masks. And I'm like, if this isn't premium, a premium's got to be bonkers, like, cause it's good. Like, he's very, very talented. He's a good, I guess the word's tailor, right? He's a good tailor. Like, he makes like, he's so talented. Also, now Ultimate Man is very, very good at making stuff as well.
Yeah, and they're actually, it's funny you say that. Both of them are working on some stuff for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm getting a little combination of both and then running with it.
Lindsay goes live a lot on Instagram. So if anyone out there who's listening wants to watch someone make gear, Lindsay's a great watch on Instagram. You follow him on Instagram, and every time he goes live, just go watch and you'll see him sewing and making masks, and he talks to everybody. It's a cool process to watch.
Yeah, he's very good at it, man. Very talented.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of his stuff, and I was, and obviously being friends with him for almost 20 years, like we were able to communicate and collab on some stuff too.
Yeah, that black tiger mask he made for I almost called her Sasha, Mercedes Monet in Japan was sick.
Oh yeah.
And I think he said he made the robe too. But the mask you're wearing now is Philly, obviously Philly guy there. That's very Flyers, right? Is that what we're going for? You're a Flyers colors?
Yeah, you can throw a little bit of that in there, and just the horror of Halloween and that kind of style into it. But that's how you get the orange, and obviously, yeah, you know what the green is for the birds. No,
yeah. Well,
well,
speaking outside of wrestling, what are some other passions of yours? What are some things you're into? Obviously, you said some sports references there. Are you a big sports guy?
Yeah, big Eagles fan, big Philadelphia Eagles fan. Love them. Been going to those games since I was a child, so it's always good to kick back and watch them. And obviously, not this year. Was a
what a collapse! What a meltdown, huh?
Yeah, it hurt me down in my soul right there, man. But
I as a Washington fan, I was born and raised to hate Cowboys and Eagles. As I get older and the more I travel to the city of Philadelphia, and just being from Pennsylvania, even though I'm not a Philly guy, it's hard not to love and respect that city. One of the coolest ways, and I'll give a shout out to him, Luca, and Jimmy Conway of South Philly's finest. Luca said it the best. He's a Ravens fan, but he's like, I don't hate the Eagles. He goes, if you don't like the Eagles, you're just not a fun person. He's like, that's the way about it. Like, you don't go to that city and just not have a good time. Like, they're good people. They're passionate. And that's what I've kind of like. My favorite thing about Philadelphia sports fans is, even though they're crazy, you're not going to get beat up unless you're the one being aggressive after they bust your balls. If they bust your balls and you just laugh with them, 9 times out of 10, you're fine. You gotta
be take the shit and then realize. And listen, there's scumbags out there.
Absolutely, every fan base has scumbags.
But yeah, it's one of the best sports cities and one of the best
wrestling towns. Yeah,
the world, man.
But yeah, so the one thing I love about them is, like, Giants fans, sorry, New York, I'm shitting on you for a second, but you only like your teams when they're good. Like, when New York teams are good, you don't shut the fuck up. Eagle fans could be good or bad, and they could be like, this guy in the practice squad is coming up. He's from this college. His mom makes great meatballs. Like, they know everything about everyone on their team. It's like, I respect that about that city. They're good people.
Hell yeah.
Who's your all-time favorite bird?
Brian Dawkins.
Brian Dawkins? That's a good pick. It's a real good pick. It's hard.
Dawkins is one of the reasons why I was just like, oh, he's the fucking man.
When he German suplex a dude in a football field, I was like, this guy is crazy.
Got to do a German suplex. It was
I don't know. I think he was kind of toppled by me. I have never went out and I actually bought a Dawkins jersey when he went to Denver because I wanted one, but I didn't want an Eagles one. But I will own, sometime probably very soon, I will get a Kelly Green Eagles jersey, and I will get one of probably my all-time favorite Eagle ever, and it's going to be Kelsey. I love me some. That guy is just a gem. I bawled my eyes out watching his latest podcast where he's like talking about, like, oh, if that was your last game, I feel bad for you. He's like, feel bad for me? I was part of the greatest city of all time with the greatest people. I goes like the greatest career ever. He's like balling. I was like, I can't watch this.
Yeah, he's the fucking man. He's so awesome, and that whole family is great.
Yeah.
You know, his documentary is hands down fucking a classic. If you haven't watched that yet on Amazon,
Yeah,
it's real.
I got to see the Mummers outfit in person.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was at that right down the steps at that parade that day. That's for sure.
Do you know where that outfit is right now?
Where is it?
It's in London.
Really?
There's a Philly sports bar in an abandoned subway tunnel in London. And it's all Eagles and Philadelphia sports themed. It's like you walk into Pennsylvania in this abandoned tunnel. And I went in there. I had one of the best cheesesteaks I'll ever have outside of the city of Philadelphia. It was the coolest experience ever. And they have Kelsey's jersey there. I mean, his Mummers outfit.
Do you remember what that place was called in London?
I'm gonna butcher the name. Passer Avenue, or what's the one street? I can never pronounce it.
I mean, I'm sure we can Google Eagles fucking.
Yeah, but it's a guy from Philly who moved to London and opened up a Philly sports bar. Like when the Flyers and stuff are anytime like they play a game in like the Phillies, when we left a couple months later, the Phillies came to London and did like a game and they all went to that bar. Like, yeah, it's like,
I think they play the Mets this year over there, like at some point, like in May or June or something.
Yeah,
like
and all the players went to that bar. Like it was the coolest experience. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not a Philly fan. I respect them, but I went there twice. I was like, it's the best food because it's like American food while you're in London. Yeah, I'll send you photos of it. They're on my Instagram, but it was a great time. Besides sports, what else are you into?
Love horror movies. Big fan of horror movies. It's always, I mean, you can get that a lot out of my character and, stuff like that. But I think, it's nothing better than a good classic horror movie, especially some of the early ones,
All-time favorite, if you had, or we'll say top 3. Can't live without, you'll watch over and over and over again.
The Thing.
Ooh, okay.
Is up there.
The first of the remake.
The 80, Kurt Russell,
yeah.
Not the remake, no. That was terrible. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay. And the video game's a lot of fun. Have you played the game yet?
No. I've heard
really fun. It's really good.
Hollowicked and I are planning something where we're going to play that together on a live stream and hang out.
If you need a third, let me know.
Yeah. We'll do. And then I love the Friday the 13th series. It's one of my favorite altogether.
Yes.
Series. So like, you can add a little combination of, and there's some that are obviously just bad, but like a good bad kind of deal. Like, I think one of my first ever horror movies was Jason Lives. Like the first, like, remember seeing and like actually remembering as a kid. You know what I mean?
What's the one where the girl had telekinesis powers? That one was rough.
That was the one after that. The 7.
That was it wasn't even Jason, right? It was a dude as Jason. Yeah,
it was like I think it's The New Beginning.
Yeah, that was the worst one. But even that one wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the best.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely top 3 for sure for me. But yeah, I'm a big fan of a lot of them. I even love, like, I know it's not all horror. There's some comedy and romance in it, but Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah,
it goes down as top 5 for me. I love that movie more than anything.
The horror there is a comedy horror category, 100%. I think like there's a place in horror for that. Like the B-rated, there's so like horror has its own subgenres that can go and go and go. Like it's a great genre to be a fan of. Growing up, I loved Nightmare on Elm Street, and then I really fell in love with Halloween, and then I got older and I started rewatching all the Halloweens again, and I was like, these movies suck. Like after part 2, it's like, these are terrible. And then I fell in love more with Friday the 13th over all of them. I was like, as a kid, I didn't like Jason. And then I got older, rewatched, and like Friday the 13th is clearly the best franchise. Like Halloween's dog shit.
Yeah, there's some bad Halloweens for sure. For sure.
You see, they're making another one, so they're gonna reboot Halloween again. and they're getting a TV show. Like Halloween's gonna get a TV show. And
The
supposedly the TV show is going to be based off of Season of the Witch, where it's going to be the mask company.
Well, that could be cool.
Yeah,
because that was a cool kind of stand on its own kind of movie. That was
great movie.
But the last three that they put out, the last three Halloweens were, in my opinion, were dog shit.
I didn't mind the first one.
The blend of all of them together, I can't even remember what happens in the first one.
Part 2 was bad. The whole like the build up to him and Jamie, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this. And then he like goes hand to hand with an entire fire department, and then the whole neighborhood he's combat fighting with. I'm like, this is not Michael. I hate and then part 3, he just gets his ass whooped by everybody.
Yeah,
like everyone's beating his ass. I'm like, you fought a whole fire department and now you're losing every fight. What the hell's happening?
And the acting was just terrible too. I'm not even like a big like, you do your thing in a movie, but it was just I remembered that. Yeah, that was just
terrible.
So
is there any modern horror right now that you're like that you recently watched that you became a fan of, or you're like that was a good one in recent times?
I was a big fan of Hereditary. Enjoyed that. There's a new one, kind of like When Evil Lurks.
Okay.
It's a subtitle movie, but it's fucking awesome. It's crazy. So definitely check that. I don't know if you have Shudder. Do you know what Shudder is?
Yes, very, very aware. I don't have it right now, but I'm aware of what Shudder is. It's a great. If you're a horror fan, that is a must-have service.
Yeah, that is. I'll give you my password after this. You got to watch.
All right.
that thing is that's sick. But I enjoyed all the Conjuring movies. I
don't like the real life stories behind them because I think the Warrens were con artists, but I think the movies are good.
Yeah, just the movies in general. Yeah. I don't know the full blown story, but I thought what was that new one I just saw like back in the summer was the Australian movie. Fuck.
The Korean one I just watched, the one on the train, that was fucking awesome. Zombie movies have been hurting for a while. I love zombie movies, but the last stop or Train to Busan, it's all Korean, but that one was really good.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna kill me to not do the Australian movie, but I think it's like God. It's gonna come to me, but it was awesome, and it was brand new. It came out, and I've been enjoying the Terrifier series too.
I was just gonna ask you, what do you think of Terrifier?
Awesome.
So I'm hopefully by the time this airs, I will have done my Terrifier review with my friend Courtney. We watched it, both of them. I didn't know the whole backstory of like this character has been in other movies and other projects, and they're kind of like, well, the character has something to it, we want to keep it going. Then they hired a new actor the actor who plays Terrifier is on a Robert Englund level of what he brings to the character with his facial expressions and what he does. He's iconic in that aspect alone, and I think he will have very long longevity with this character. But like, if you're looking for a plot or to understand anything about these movies, don't go into it looking for that, because there's all questions, no answers. You're like, wait, is he supernatural? What is going on here? What the hell is that? And it's just a movie with really crazy kill scenes. That's essentially what it is. Like I want to see how they progress it and maybe add a story to it. They did a little bit in part 2, but they're already saying part 3 was banned. Like they had to go all crowdfunding because the studio was like, yeah, we're not paying for this. You guys are crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited too. And then like the third one's going to be like a Christmas movie, which is
so you, two of your guys are, I mean, I'm sure all three are horror fans, but one of them's a big Christmas fan. So this is a good blend for all of you. I
know. Yeah. I mean, the fact we got to get together with Mantis and watch that one for sure.
Please record it. It would be weird to be sitting in your living room with masks on watching a movie for video purposes, but for how much Mantis loves Christmas and you two love horror, that has to be something you guys have to watch together.
We have to do that, and like I told you a little bit before, was Hollow Wicked and I want to start doing that together, having like a little, almost like a mini podcast kind of like Twitch thing where it's just watching horror movies.
If you need help when it comes to like producing it or getting it done, Like I said, we're part of a network, the Ben Frank. If you guys want to join us, we'll hook you up. We'll show you how to use StreamYard, and you guys can use this platform and do your stuff.
That would be awesome, man. That would be awesome too, because and we just want to kind of see, how it goes. And I know it would just be fun, and the fact that I can get to talk to my boy all the time about something we both enjoy, that's not wrestling related. I mean, it's a win-win.
I think it'd be a fantastic piece of content. I would watch that all the time.
Thank you,
I think that's a lot. It would be a lot of fun for you guys to like newer horror movies. Like this one's coming out. This is what we're excited for, and then go back and watch an older one. And you'll never run out of content. There's movies to watch all the time. So I'll give you my top 3 real quick. Number 1 for me, Dawn of the Dead original is my all time. I love that movie so much. Scream. The first time you ever watch Scream, you'll never get that feeling back. It's like a drug. You get that first hit and you're chasing that feeling forever. The first Scream changed the game. I love that movie so much. And then the original Halloween. They're my 3.
Oh yeah. All fantastic picks. I mean, like I said, I named so many more, but I was like, if I had to narrow it down.
Yeah. Do you have a style? Or do you prefer slasher? Do you prefer zombie, monster? Slasher. Yeah. I love monster movies. Unless the monster sucks at the end, then it disappoints me so bad.
I'm a big Aliens fan too. Like, like if you can put a little bit of that, like alien shit in there, like all for it.
How do you feel about Cloverfield?
It was okay.
I love that because it was another one. You're like, well, what is this about? Like, I want more. Like
that was like kind of like like Signs too, where it was like it took a while till you finally can see what the hell's going on and all that. But yeah, Cloverfield was a fun watch like that, where you just like, the hell is this thing?
I'm so pumped. I hope you guys make this content. Please do. And like I said, if you need help or you need some stuff like the StreamYard thing, let us know. But besides that, anything in closing, anything we didn't talk about that you want to get out there, anything you want to plug?
Just that like it's been unfortunately, Hollow Wicked was dealing with an injury, and I had some nagging injuries coming up, but we plan on getting the boys back together in 2024 and really going on a fun run, just because we miss it, and why not get back and do our thing together. So just look out for that. And like you said, I'll be asking you for some help when we start our other little mini projects, but I plan on having some fun stuff for 2024 and getting back out there. So
I think I pretty much know the answer to this, but if we were to see you in 2024 get the band back together, I'm gonna assume it's gonna be LVAC shows.
Well, I mean, you'll find us there for sure.
Yeah, so make sure you please on IWTV, all social media, go check out LVAC wrestling shows. They put on. I've only ever been to one, because every single time that it was going on, I was always booked somewhere else, or I was going through my stuff where I didn't have a card to get to the shows. But I try to go back and watch every one. It is, if you like the old Chikara, if you like the high tension style, the camp leapfrog, you're gonna get all of that. You're gonna scratch that itch, and then they're gonna bring more great Northeast talent in there. You never know who's going to show up. That may be our TV that show up sometimes. There's Orange Cassidy's have shown up. Eddie Kingston's have showed up. It's a great way to see a lot of new talent. Like they brought out the Lost Boys, Harleen Lopez, Journey Burke are all people who Journey didn't debut, but she was there. But like, it's a great way to see some of your older people that you're looking forward to. Like, we get to see good Dan Champion and Sydney Bacabella and Ultra Mandis, and then Frightmare and Hollow Wicked coming back. And then you see some of that new talent coming up. LVAC shows are really, really good. Show them all the support you possibly can.
They're the best, man. It's always a good time too.
And the venues are always cool. Like they do a good job of not just putting together good wrestling shows, but like, would it be cool if we did a wrestling show here and then it like a drive-in? Like it's perfect. Yeah. It's perfect. Yeah.
They have awesome ideas, and it's such a cool, young, talented locker room with a little sprinkle of some of us old guys coming in here and tearing it up.
Who are some people on the scene now? I'm not sure how much you're following the independent scene or watching, but who are some names out there that you're looking at or like, you would like to work, or you're really impressed with what they're doing?
Gringo Loco. So funny story was, me and him were supposed to work at Deadlock Pro, the North Carolina company. Unfortunately, it was a time where I just got COVID, and it was just bad timing. Couldn't do the show, and unfortunately, it never got booked again. But me and him been talking behind the scenes trying to make that happen because I mean, what they call him base god, right? So, and I know fact and that me and him could tear the fucking house down at any venue and any company. So
they just put a clip out of him, Speedball, Janela, Jordan Oliver, there's a few other ones, but it was like the end of the match and that one of those crazy spots where 13 things happen at one time. Like it was a cool clip.
Well, I think I saw exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it was so well done. Like it's all about timing too, especially, and most of those things can get so fucked up and clunky. But those guys, like even Jordan Oliver, I remember when he was first starting out, and he's doing such an amazing job. Props to him. Great fucking guy too.
I'm
always been
speaking this into existence, but I know for a while there was some rumors on the dirt sheet that AEW was trying to get the name East West Express.
Yeah,
because they have Nick Wayne, and I was like, if they bring in Jordan, and we find a way to tell a story where Christian screws over Nick, and Nick brings in Jordan, and we get Jordan Oliver and Nick Wayne versus Edge and a Christian somehow in a tag team match.
Hey,
what a passing of the torch of two guys who came up together, passing it to two younger guys who came up together. Like that would be, I'd probably cry. I'd probably cry watching that.
Distance, man.
Yeah, I need it. Jordan Oliver is someone who needs to be on TV. The term "the next Shawn Michaels" gets thrown around a lot. Nick Wayne and Jordan Oliver are your new Shawn. There's no Marty Jannetty in that team. They're both Shawns. They're both really good, and there's nothing wrong with Marty. But what I'm saying is like they're both good. They're both elite guys.
Those two are insane, and I mean it just shows like their work ethic and all that kind of stuff. Like they've earned every spot, and kudos to them, man. They're
like you, doing it since they're 14, 13 years old.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It takes a lot out of you, brother.
Yeah. Now you were saying before Speedball, I cut you off. That guy tearing it up everywhere.
Another incredible person. Would love to get together with him, especially see who could do the better knee collapsy, and go from there. But
please make that happen. I'm clipping this. Frightmare versus Speedball Mike Bailey. Let's get that in.
Got it too, man. We would love to make it happen, and
he's been doing shows at Tony Deppin's Brewery in Pottsville.
That
are a lot of fun. Maybe sneak out there for a show.
Sneak in there too. Yeah, Tony's another great one, man. That he needs to be on TV as well.
So good.
Great person, very talented. So,
where can people find you and support you?
Frightmare Lucha on Instagram, and you find me on the Twitter with Frightmare and stuff like that. Watch me yell at other Eagles fans and talk horror movies and have some good times and be able to talk to fans. Always enjoy talking to fans any chance I can get, and or even anyone that's coming into the game young and needs any kind of words of wisdom that I can give them to help them out. If I would love that. And I love professional wrestling, man. So anytime I get the chance to talk about it, and even speaking to you and having a blast with you today is a true blessing, and I'm very thankful for that. So I appreciate it.
I'm thankful for you to coming on here and doing this. I was a blast. I hope to do it again soon. I'd love to have you on, talk some more horror movies or just in general. I always tell people the first episode on here is just your intro story, and then if I have a returning guest, that's when we could just bullshit and have some fun. You know what I mean? Like catch up what you're doing in the scene, some things that happen for you, and then let's just have some fun and bullshit. But I really, really appreciate you. I cannot wait for 2024, the return of Frightmare. We got to make like a horror movie poster style T-shirt for you and Hollow Wicked's return. Like like a return they live or something crazy, like your head popping out of the graves or something. But I'm pumped.
After this, and you'll see we have some cool shit coming out.
Oh, I'm so pumped. And like I said, let's get on the social medias, and hopefully if it's not out by the time this airs, get on them to remind them that horror movie podcast has to happen. That'll do it for the ABJ podcast. Links below for everything. Also support if you want music, logos, the whole nine. Go hit up the people in my logo and my links as well. That's going to do it. We'll see you next time for episode 112 of the ABJ podcast. Here's some music by the Converse Kid.
thanks for watching this presentation. Like, share, and subscribe for more.